also an awful lot of information right now up on our website. So I'd encourage you to just go to one of our websites, which is galcolashton-clár.com or enniscommunitycollege.com. And what you're looking for is the Student Hub section. So if you click the Student Hub, and up on the top of the screen, you will see a little button that says Senior Cycle. And you will get different links to either TY, to LCA, or the established Leaving Cert with lots and lots of information. I'm going to butt in just with a plug before I hand over to Miss Murray. We're really excited. Tomorrow night, we've had an exciting couple of weeks with a massive win with our under-19 basketballers last week and under-16s in the Munster final. And tomorrow night in Glór, we have a huge selection of students and some staff taken to the stage in Glór tomorrow night for what promises to be a wonderful occasion and a really, really nice, pleasant evening. If you haven't got your tickets, there are a small number of tickets still available. So if you'd like a good night out, a good bit of fun, good bit of crack, good bit of entertainment, and a nice spirit to join in on, it's glór.ie that you need to go to book your tickets, and just snap them up maybe this evening. And I'd really like to see you tomorrow, meet in person. So I'm going to stop talking. I think it's about time I did. So I'll hand over to Miss Murray. I'm going to come in towards the end and just highlight some areas about how to select different things. So for the next little while, we're going to talk about the established Leaving Certificate subjects and processes around that. So I'm going to hand over to Ms. Murray, one of our guidance counsellors.
Great, thanks very much, Mr. O'Donoghue. So my name is Miss Murray. I'm one of the guidance counsellors, and myself and Miss Meehan, we are the guidance counsellors in Ennis Community College and Gael Clár. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about subject choice, and so is Miss Meehan. There's a lot of information here to take in. Myself and Miss Meehan have been visiting the third year classes, and we've been speaking directly with students and showing them how to actually look up entry requirements for courses that are needed. So if you're a little bit unsure, you can always ask your son or daughter how to actually do this, and we're always available as well for any questions. So Leaving Cert subjects, so things to consider. So what is important when choosing subjects when it comes to fifth year? We're going to examine the importance of choosing the right subjects and the content of subjects, a brief understanding of importance of subjects and the college requirements. And just to say on the content of subjects, we're actually running a subject fair next week where the subject teachers are actually going to, I suppose, give an awful lot of information about their own subjects where students can actually ask all the questions that they have about the various subjects. So when considering subjects, you need to consider progression. So what's your end goal when you're choosing your subject? So you have college, you've got your matriculation, your entry requirements, which is very, very important, your faculty or your course requirements, and the points. So lots of people know about the points, but not so many people, I think about the entry requirements to actually get into college, because you need all those three to get a place in college. So things not to do, so don't do this. Pick a subject thinking that it's going to be an easy H1. Most subjects have the same. So, you hear rumors like, oh God, yeah, sure, home ec is a doddle. Sure, I'll do that now and get a H1. Don't pick a subject unless you actually want to do that subject. If you feel you are able for that subject, there's no such thing as an easy H1. Don't choose a subject because all your friends are choosing it. Think for yourself. So there's nothing worse than getting the knock on the door halfway through fifth year saying, Miss, can I change from biology? And I said, why do you want to change from biology? Why did you pick it in the first place? Sure, all the lads were doing it and I wanted to be in the class with them. So you have to think for yourself, because, all the lads aren't going to be going to the workplace with you or paying your mortgage or your bills. So definitely think for yourself. Do what's right for you, okay? Because otherwise you could be struggling with the subject, and there's no need for that. So don't pick a subject because you like the teachers. Now, we know you like all the teachers, but don't pick one just because you like a teacher, because teachers can be switched, things change, the timetabling can change. So make sure that you like the subject before you decide on the teacher. So when choosing subjects, do what comes naturally to you. So it's more it's easier, it's more enjoyable for you, it's more comfortable. And why would you make life more difficult for yourself? Like taking up a subject that you haven't done before, maybe, or really, if you've really struggled with history, why put yourself through that unless you need it for a college requirement? And even so, do you really need to do that course then? You know, these are things that you need to think about. So aptitudes, we all have different strengths. Choose subjects in which you are likely to get good grades or have already achieved good grades in. You are also more likely to want to continue with these subjects when you leave school. So like if I said to you, what are your top grades? You will know off the top of your head, well, I'm really good at maths, I'm really good at geography, I'm really good at history. You know, it kind of comes to you straight away when you're actually asked. So that's one thing to kind of think about. What are you actually good at? Now, career and further education. So apart from Irish, English and maths, other subjects can be required for some courses and careers. Check out these subject requirements with the course provider, and it's your responsibility to do that. And we've been showing the students how to do that in classes. So the two websites that we use are Qualifax and Careers Portal. Use these websites to help you research courses that you might like to take after school. Lots of students, they don't know what they want to do. And in that case, we advise you to keep your options open. So how would you do that? You pick one science, you pick one language, one business, and one practical. So the sciences, you'd need a pass in at least one laboratory science subject if you're going to apply for anything in this general area here. So your engineering, your human nutrition, paramedical, radiography, physiotherapy, medical, pharmacy, medical laboratory, podiatry, veterinary, nursing, and science areas at university. So it would make sense that if you're going into this area that you would then choose a science subject. Very specific courses then, a pass in at least one laboratory science subject is needed if you are applying for anything in physical ed and maths in DCU and design and manufacture in UL. Both require a science subject, so biology, physics, chemistry, or agricultural science, or one of the sciences. But again, these are just examples, okay? So students really need to be looking up the course requirements for whatever they are actually interested in. So why would you pick a science then? So if students are considering medical, paramedical, nursing, science, or engineering courses, they should select a laboratory science subject or two for some courses, and for some colleges, a third language is required. So your chemistry, what would it be required for? So human nutrition and dietetics, dentistry, medical and health sciences, medicine, veterinary science, pharmacy, and medicine. So if you are thinking of doing anything in this area, you most certainly, definitely need to have chemistry as a subject. Your biology then, what would it be required for? Veterinary medicine, elective biology and home ec, genetics, human health and disease, health science with dietetic studies or occupational studies, and physiotherapy. It's also useful if you want to do teaching with biology. Your physics, it's required for theoretical physics, surprise. It's very useful for anybody considering courses in engineering or electronics. And again, you know, you'd know if you were suited for physics, if you liked it, if you had a kind of a graph for physics. And if you're unsure, you should always talk to the teachers as well, because the teachers will give you advice, and that's what the subject fair is for too. So medicine. Medical entry degrees in Ireland require at least one science subject, with options to complete your medical degree in 5 years if you have two science subjects. An exam called the HPAT is also part of the application process. www.cao.ie. This website has a link to a complete guide to medicine. It's a fantastic website too for resources and information. Now, I'm actually going to hand you over to Miss Meehan now, and she's going to talk you through the next part of the presentation.
Hello, everybody. As Miss Murray said, my name is Miss Meehan, and I suppose Miss Murray has just been talking about the importance of science if you want to go to college to do specific courses. But the other subject to consider seriously is your third language. So I suppose there is a bit of a myth out there that if you don't do a third language, you can't go to college. That's not actually true, but it does limit you if you don't do a third language. So we have a collection of colleges in Ireland called the NUI colleges, the National University of Ireland colleges. And you can see here on the list, we have listed some of the 4 colleges that would be the most prominent ones. And the UCC, NUIG, UCD, Maynooth, Royal College of Surgeons, they all require you to have a third language to access the college as a requirement. And then there may also be a third language requirement in some other colleges for specific subjects, for example, European Studies at Trinity or in UL. So be mindful of dropping the third language because it can limit you going forward. And I suppose most students do choose to study a foreign language because it ensures that they don't rule out any college. So if in doubt, keep the language. This is what we always say. If you want to keep all your options open, make sure you study at least one additional language. And for any of our international students who have maybe Polish or Russian in their families of origin, they can take that as their third language in place of the French, which is our subject in our school. But the NUI colleges require the third language, and it's very, very important to be cautious about dropping it. Some students may officially be exempt from the language already. They will know that. They will have been linking in with Ms. O'Callaghan and with the resource teachers in school. Maybe they have found out during their time in the primary or secondary that they're dyslexic. And in all those cases, there's no problem. We will be putting your exemptions in place, and you can still access college in any college if you're exempt. But in addition, with the NUI colleges, if you're born outside the country, if you have, as I said, the exemption based on specific grounds, or if you come into the country over the age of actually 12, now that's changed, we've changed that slide there, you're not required to study the third language to go to the NUI colleges. But remember, you will still be required to have it for other things where exemptions don't stand. So for example, the cadetships don't recognize the third language exemptions. So it's a complicated area. Then the issue of doing a language for Leaving Cert is a complicated area. And what we always say to students is, if in doubt, take the language. And if in doubt, ask for help. So come to us, come to myself and Miss Murray. We will sit down with you and we will look at your potential areas of study. But I suppose with the best will in the world, you'll have students who are now 15 or 16 going into Leaving Cert established. And perhaps they'll say to us now, no, I don't want to go to this college or that college. But in 2 years' time, they may change their mind and they may regret dropping the language. So again, be mindful, be cautious of dropping the third language, and ask yourself the question all the time, do I require it? Having said that, Trinity College, the University of Limerick, DCU, the Technological University of Dublin, and generally the technological universities, which we used to know as the ITs. For example, our regional ones would have been LIT or GMIT. They now have changed their names, and our local college, LIT, has become TUS, or the Technological University of the Shannon region. That now is a partnership with Athlone IT, and that college does not require a third language to enter the college. English and maths are the two requirements there. So I'm going to keep saying it's a complicated area. If in doubt, keep the language. But if in doubt, ask for help. We are here to help and we will help. UCC, as I said, is an NUI college and yet still has many courses you can do without the third language. And specifically in the majority, those would be the science and engineering courses. And that would be the same for NUIG, UCD and Maynooth, which are all the NUI colleges. So does my future college require a third language for entry? And if so, keep my language. If I don't know, keep my language. And if I'm unsure, ask for help. So we're here to help. And there's some of the links to the colleges. And this presentation will be going up onto our webpage in a couple of days. But Qualifax is the website there in the middle that has the absolute best way to search and find this information. And Miss Murray and I have been working with the classes over the last 2 weeks. Each of the third year classes have had a class with us where we've shown them how to use Qualifax. We've shown them about the points system for their progression from their Leaving Cert. And we've shown them lots of information to help them make the best decisions. But don't be afraid to come forward and ask for help. Ask yourself, what are my required subjects? Start making a list of things I'm possibly interested in. Does my possible future career have any required subjects? Am I going to do engineering? Interestingly, for example, if you don't do a science subject, you can't go to engineering in NUIG, yet you can go to engineering in UL. So it's very complicated. And I suppose what we do is we try and broaden the net to cover everything by saying, take your science subject, take your business subject, take your practical subject, but keep your language. And in so doing, you keep all your options open. And that's especially important for students who don't know what they want. We will always have a few students who say, I've decided what I want. I know what I want, so I'm happy with my decision. But keep asking the questions so that you don't make a mistake. We have compulsory subjects, but then we have optional subjects now, which is wonderful. It's a wonderful part of the progression to Leaving Cert that you can now choose what you most enjoy. But in choice comes responsibility. So let's be cautious and take care and take time now to think it through. And I suppose that's the big message from tonight. And Ms. Murray, we'll go on to the next slide there if you could. So again, we've reflected on this already. My ability, what am I good at? What did I do well in the junior cert? For the transition year students who are on this talk here tonight, who've had their junior cert results, Where did I get my best results? They're obvious ones to choose in terms of moving forward. My aptitudes, you will have done Cat 4 tests are being done now at the moment with the special ed teachers, and results will be given in the next few weeks. And that will be able to help you again see, am I more suited to something literary? Am I more a practical student? Am I more a mathematical student? What am I interested in? What do I love studying? Do I love science? Do I love the practical subjects? You look forward to going to those classes. You look forward to coming to school. The more of those that you have in your mix. And as I said, while Irish, English and maths are compulsory, obviously there is a conundrum there where students can be exempt, but many of those students will know that already. There are other subjects, as we said, that are essential for your course or your career. So it's important now to start thinking about this as we go forward. Miss McNamara already mentioned the National Framework of Qualifications. So our Leaving Cert applied will be sitting at level 4 on the National Framework of Qualifications, but our Leaving Cert established will take a Leaving Cert that leads to a level 5 qualification. And then they must consider progression. And progression can be that they go to another level 5 post-Leaving Cert course to try an area that they would like to learn that they're not sure about, maybe, for example, engineering or computers or science. And our local college here in Ennis, the Ennis College of Further Education, which is a partner college with Ennis Community College in Gaelclough, has a wonderful post-Leaving Cert courses that students can progress to. With 5 passes in their Leaving Cert and a recommendation from the school, many students go over there and do really well and progress to college from there. But other students then will go to level 6, 7 or 8 courses in our local technological colleges or the universities. And to do that, they must reach certain milestones within their Leaving Cert, or known as matriculation. So for our level 8 courses, they will have to achieve 2 H5s, 4 passes at ordinary or higher. Reminding you now that the pass at higher is now at 30% going forward in Leaving Cert higher papers, with bonus points for your maths. So all of these are parts of the puzzle of moving forward. And the Leaving Cert points are something that we will work with the students with in 5th year and 6th year. At the moment, all of the 6th years have been working with myself and Miss Murray. We give them appointments on their own. We work with them in classes. And at the moment, we're helping them to fill up their CAO applications or their apprenticeship applications or their transfer to the post-Leaving Cert colleges. And for their CAO applications, points are a particular concern. So when we choose our subjects for our Leaving Cert, it's really important to choose my best subjects, which can lead to my best points. So sometimes I'll see a student who is doing art for their junior cert, and they're very good at art, but they're saying they're not going to do it for Leaving Cert. And I'll say, why aren't you doing it? It could gain you a H1 or H2, which would give you significant points towards a course. They may say, well, I'm not going to be an artist, or I'm not going to go to art college. And we would say, well, you could still use it for points because your best 6 subjects are what you will be using for points. There are other specific requirements, other than the general requirements, and we've touched off these with the sciences. But for example, it would be important for students to remember that those that want to do primary teaching will require a H4 in Irish, that those that want to do things like medicine, there's specific requirements. And other courses, like, for example, maths, comes into so many courses as a requirement. Business in UL can be accessed with ordinary maths, but engineering will require a H4 in maths. So while we're focused here on the choice subjects tonight, it's always really important for the students to remember your maths can take you to the next level in so many sub-courses and not to neglect your maths. English is actually a required course for subject for every course out there, regardless of points. So again, they're core subjects, but they're equally as important as the choice subjects. And as we said many times tonight, science is a subject that's required for lots and lots of courses and specific grades in science too. So as I said, points are allocated for the best 6 grades. The CAO system picks those for you automatically. You must get your points from one sitting of your Leaving Cert. So if, for example, you wanted to be a primary teacher and you didn't get the H4 in Irish, you could resit the Irish the following year in 1 year, but you would still have had to achieve your points the year before. The colleges don't set the points. The points are set by popularity, supply and demand. So if we're looking at, for example, something like dentistry, why are the points so high? So high because there's so few places. That's simply the story. And it's all about popularity. So, the business course in UL is 431 points, and yet a business course in TUS can be 330 points. And at the end of it, you can still achieve a similar level 8 degree with less points. So never get too bogged down in points. Do your best, achieve your best, pick your best to give yourself the best option. But If in doubt, if you're struggling, if you're finding things difficult, you can't decide, come and talk to us. Miss Murray and I will be available for the next couple of weeks, specifically to the TYs and third years who want to sit down with us one-to-one and get a little bit of extra help. We'll be talking to them in class too. We'll both have them in class, so we'll be talking to both of them, to both classes, to give them a little bit of extra help. There are some useful websites. We particularly would recommend Careers Portal and the Qualifax website. Qualifax is really a mine of information, and we've shown the students how to use those websites this week. So that's been giving them a little head start. Just briefly to mention apprenticeships, we have a great website called apprenticeship.ie where students can start to look towards all the variety of apprenticeships that are out there. And there's so many new apprenticeships coming on board. We have the old, more traditional ones like carpentry and electrician, etc. But then we have new ones in areas like aeronautical apprenticeships, engineering apprenticeships, auctioneering apprenticeships, hairdressing, so many great apprenticeships. They still rely on Junior Cert or Leaving Cert. The more typical older ones, like your carpentry and electrician, can be accessed in theory from Junior Cert, but typically people will have a Leaving Cert, so you'll be in competition with the Leaving Cert student to get an apprenticeship. And maybe a recommendation from your teacher, your woodwork teacher or the principal would really go a long way towards helping with that. Aeronautical apprenticeships and engineering apprenticeships usually require students to do aptitude tests, and those aptitude tests, generally speaking, reflect back to areas like mechanics and maths. And again, we're back to students' performance in maths. Recently, we had 8 students take part in a 2-week trial apprenticeship course over in our local adult education course centre. And they kept reminding me to say to students, maths. You know, Leaving Cert maths really is a basic starting point to get through the phases in the apprenticeships. So students will need to do interviews and CVs for those. And every year we go to the apprenticeship fair in Limerick in the Radisson, which will help students to identify areas that they'd like to go to apprenticeship-wise. Again, our local Ennis College of Further Education has brilliant courses. And now you may have heard recently some news swimming around in the airwaves about courses called tertiary courses. And basically they're courses that you can start in your local College of Further Education, and by completing year 1 in your local College of Further Education, you will progress automatically to year 2 in your local technological college. And in our regional area, we have courses available in business, construction, and about to come on stream, business and computers, that can start it in Ennis College of Further Education and automatically go into year 2 in Thus with no points requirement, simply meeting the matriculation requirements. So that's a brilliant opportunity for students, and we're very excited about it. And last week we took groups of students over to see all those courses in the Ennis College of Further Education. As well as that, as part of our linking, and Miss McNamara reflected on this a little, you know, our students have been trying out things like barbering, beauty courses, culinary courses, barista courses, and trial apprenticeships, all going on throughout TY 5th year to give students a chance to try lots of things that they may have an interest in. And I suppose that's the great opportunity they have by going into TY particularly, and then on into 5th year. I suppose the one message we want to get across is to do not give up the subjects you love. You know, keep them on. If you love a subject, it comes easy to you. Your aptitudes are strong in it, and you'll find the 2 years more enjoyable and more beneficial to you. And I suppose I'll leave you with a little message that the Leaving Cert is like a cake. 5th year is as important as 6th year. Don't neglect 5th year. It's a 2-year cycle, not a 1-year cycle. And the teachers will tell you when you come to the subject fair, the majority of the coursework is actually covered in 5th year. Usually by Halloween or up to Christmas of 6th year, the teachers will say it's done. We're going back over everything now. So attendance is super important. Coming in, studying for your subjects, studying for your Christmas tests and your Halloween tests, all of these we really stand to you in 6th year. And as I said, Ms. Murray and I are here to answer any questions over the next few weeks. The subject fair will be on next week for students, where they get to meet all their teachers and ask questions about all the subjects. And anyone who's confused or struggling or in doubt, please contact us. We're here to help, and we're glad to help. So I'm going to hand you back now to Mr. O'Donoghue.
That's great. Thank you to Ms. Murray and Ms. Meehan, and some excellent guidance and advice there. So thank you very much for that. Just to remind you that there's lots of information on the Student Hub section of our website. and of course, just to observe deadlines. So just a couple of more minutes and a couple of more pieces just to share with you. I know there's a lot of content this evening. We are recording this, and we will break this down into different chunks and post it on our website in the next day or two. And again, that will all go on the Student Hub section of our website, and it'll be nicely laid out so it's easily accessible to you, so you can break it down into different parts should you wish to do so, and play back bits of clips. And just to mention as well, on the Student Hub section of our website, there are short videos and presentations for all the fifth year subjects, just giving a concise summary of the subject and where it may lead to. And they're short video clips, as I say, and short pieces of information. Again, it's on the Student Hub section of our website. And when you're on the Student Hub section, just look up towards the top right-hand side and you'll see a tab called Senior Cycle, and you'll be able to access different sections that are relevant there. Thank you for joining us tonight. This little wheel is just good advice, I think, for all students, regardless of what pathway you want to choose now in the next couple of months, be that transition year, Leaving Certificate Applied, or the established Leaving Certificate program. You should review the Senior Cycle page on our Student Hub. It is packed with information. You should do exactly what you've done for the last little while this evening, which is attend this evening and listen out and observe some information. You should talk to others, and that is parents, family, teachers, guidance counselors, and people that you know that may have gone down the route that you're thinking of going down, or are doing subjects that maybe you're thinking about doing. Number 4, very, very importantly, please carefully consider your options. So there is no rush in this. There are obviously deadlines because there has to be, but nobody should be applying for any option tomorrow. Take your time, talk to others, think about it, slow it down, ask questions, think about it for a while and consider, what do I need to know? And then go and find that out. And there are different areas, which I've mentioned in part 3 there of the wheel, that you can go to get some information. And obviously, importantly, apply before the deadline, because the deadlines are in place because other things happen after the deadline, and you don't want to get yourself locked out or left to the last of the queue. So just some information around the subject choice for 5th year and how that will operate. Transition year, the application process for transition year is a paper-based application, and we'll make those forms available to all students over the coming days. They will be live on our website tomorrow to download. The Leaving Certificate Applied program is also a paper-based application process, and again, we will circulate those application forms, and they will be live on the relevant section of the Student Hub part of our website. But the 5th year subjects application process, so to select your subjects, that is an online application process. Excuse me. And that online process will open slightly later. It won't open until next Thursday. And that's just to give time for consideration for the Leaving Certificate Applied and for the transition year before the 5th year subjects go live. And of course, we'll alert you to the fact that it goes live in advance and remind you of that fact. So it's an online application process. It's quite a simple form. It's not overly complicated. There are a couple of things that it is vital to consider and to remember in this process. Number 1, take your time. Listen to the advice that was given tonight from our guidance counselors. Talk to teachers, talk to family, talk to friends. And if you do have questions, ask the questions. And that applies to both parents and students. If you'd like to email our guidance counselors, the easiest email address to get to Ms. Meehan and Ms. Murray is just email guidance@eccdrive.com. So please do avail of that if that's the route you wish to go to. And please don't forget, you can always call the office and get a call back from any of us in the school. My email address is principal@eccdrive.com. And the students have all the email addresses for all their teachers and so on. So again, it's an online process. The form will open next Thursday, March 14th, and the deadline is after St. Patrick's weekend. So forms will need to be returned and completed online for 12 noon on Tuesday, March 19th. So that's after the St. Patrick's weekend, just after the St. Patrick's weekend. There are 14 choice subjects, so 14 option subjects. That's in addition to maths, English, and Irish, which are the 3 compulsory subjects, unless students are exempt from Irish. So there are 14 option subjects, and students will study 4 of those 14. In order to construct a timetable, we wait. So we don't organize anything until we know what the choice of students are. So in other words, this school does not lock students into a process. Instead, we build the timetable and we build the process around what students like. That is very student-centered. It allows students to select the subjects that they're interested in and that they most desire. And it allows the school to match as best it can its resources and its facilities to accommodate student choice. The flip side of that, though, is that once you submit your final choice, it is not possible to change it. And that is for a very simple reason. We've built everything that we do around the student choice. So you need to get that right the first time, because if we allow changes afterwards, that affects other students, because we wouldn't have constructed a timetable and allocated resources in the way that we did if students chose a different option. So it's important to realize that, and that's really where to take your time in this part really is important, and just give it time and space to consider it. So for 5th year subjects, as I said, there are 14 option subjects. Students will wind up receiving 4 of those, but we ask students to select 7. And that's simply because it's not always possible to allocate the 4 subjects that students want. It's not always possible to give them to students. So take, for example, a situation where 2 subjects wind up on the timetable at exactly the same time. Well, then it's not possible for a student to be in both places at once. So for example, so students are required to select 7 subjects. Those 7 subjects must be selected in genuine order of choice, order of preference. So starting with your first choice, number 1, what is your top choice subject? So that's going to take a few days of reflection on the subjects you're doing now, thinking about maybe progression routes and college courses and work after school, and reflecting on the information that you've got this evening. And you need to list those subjects going from 1 down to 7, where 1 is the subject that above all you want. It is extremely likely that you're going to get that subject, so make sure that that one is correct. This process allows most subjects to get, or beg your pardon, most students to get the subjects that they want. So again, just to emphasize, they must be selected in order of choice from 1 to 7, where 1 is the subject that the student definitely wants. And out of the 14, number 7 is out of those subjects, the 7th choice. Okay, so we work the way down. And that form will allow you input that information very, very easily. Just to mention how we organise subjects through Gaeilge, Gmina Tregelga and Gael Colostron Clár. We offer a broad range of subjects through Irish, through Gaeilge for Gael Colostron Clár students. And where subjects operate both in English and Irish, Gael Colostron Clár students will be assigned, obviously, to the subject through Gaeilge. It's not possible to give a definitive outlook of which subjects will be taught through Irish, and that's simply because we wait to hear what our students want and we build a timetable around that. But every effort is made every single year, and this year will be no exception whatsoever. We will be looking to maximise the number of subjects that we offer as Gaeilge as well to our Gael Colostron Clár students. Just to mention the Leaving Certificate Vocational Programme. And this is an additional piece, so it's like a Leaving Cert Plus program that students should consider. And there's an option on the form at the very, very end to tick a box if students wish to study the LCVP, the Leaving Certificate Vocational Program. And again, information on LCVP is available on our Student Hub on the Senior Cycle section. So LCVP, the Leaving Cert Vocational Program, as it says, has got a strong vocational focus. It's in addition to the Leaving Certificate. So this is an add-on. So all students, whether they want to do the established Leaving Cert and if they want to choose to opt into LCVP, they still complete the form in the normal way. And this is an additional piece that students may go for. And it is seriously worth considering. It's got a vocational focus, so a work focus, a world of work focus. There are 2 modules that are taught over the 2 years of 5th and 6th year for LCVP students. One of those is called Preparation for the World of Work, and the second module is called Enterprise Education. LCVP is timetabled in addition to the other 7 subjects for either 3 or 4 class periods per week. It is available to all Leaving Certificate established students, so all students who want to study LCVP in 5th and 6th year, that option is available to you regardless of what subjects you have. The program can be worth up to 66 CAO points. That's the equivalent of a H4. And you can use those points to substitute for one of your top 6 if you haven't got more than 66 points, for example. So you can substitute points. There is no written exam in June of 6th year in LCVP. It's all done before that, and it's done in 2 parts. One is a portfolio which students work on, and that is submitted in January of 6th year. That's worth 60% of the marks. And there is a written exam, and that takes place on the first Wednesday of May in 6th year, and that's worth 40%. And again, I've hyperlinked on the presentation, just a quick link back to the Student Hub section where there's a lot more information on LCVP. Over the coming days, we will further support our students and indeed our parents around this important process. And again, it is important that everybody takes their time, that they consider their options, and they think carefully before making any selections. Just to remind you that transition year is available to all students that are coming out of 3rd year, regardless of what they'd like to do after TY. For students that have done TY, and for students in 3rd year who don't want to do TY, then your 2 routes are either the Leaving Certificate Applied Program, LCA, or else the established Leaving Cert program, 5th year program. So next week, with our 3rd year students, our TY students will have already completed the following process, but our 3rd year students haven't. So next week in school is an important week to support this process. We'll be working with students to run a test, which is called the CAT4 test, the Cognitive Ability Test, and it's the 4th version of it, hence the name CAT4. This test is a short test that's done online in school. Students will need to bring wired headphones, and we'll remind them next week when they come in order to do this test. And it looks at their ability and their aptitudes and makes some suggestions and gives some guidance as to potential subjects that might be a good match for the student at 5th year and 6th year. So I'm just going to pull up just a sample report, if this hyperlink works, just a sample report that is available to you to view. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to just turn that screen off and turn on a different one. So apologies for this delay. So I'm just going to show you a sample report from a CAT4 test so that you can see what the results might look like for students. So this report will be made available to all 3rd year students following the test. We have the report for transition year students. So if you're in transition year now this year, this report is available. You may not remember receiving it. We have kept a copy in the school, and we will be circulating the copy to those students. So there's a bit of a preamble to it and a few details to it, but I'm going to skim down to basically the last page. So this is just a sample report. It'll give you some sample of the type of questions that were asked, but the last page is the interesting one for our purposes here. So this page gives some information around Leaving Certificate subjects, and based on the test and the results that students have achieved in the test, it makes some, they're not called predictions, but they do give some guidance. So for example, if we look at biology, what the results of this test will show is a most likely grade that the student will achieve in this subject. So this is saying the most likely grade for this student in biology, based on the outcome of the CAT4 test, is a H2. And if the student pushes themselves, they may achieve a H1. There is a health warning with this, of course. It's not predictive, and it doesn't mean just because it says this on the CAT4 report, then I will definitely get that result. That's not how it's going to work. So for example, a student who doesn't attend school and doesn't engage in work, I don't think realistically could expect to get a H2 or a H1 in Leaving Certificate Biology for the most part anyway. But a student who is attending and working hard, this is the purpose of the CAT4 test, and this is why we do it. So it might give some guidance. And likewise, down to different subjects. So for this particular student, maths is the last one, as you can see there. So it's suggesting that a most likely grade is a H5 or O1. And if the student pushes themselves, they may achieve a H4 at maths. So this is not predictive, but it will give some guidance. And it is, I suppose, fodder for thought when students are thinking about the different subjects that they may wish to pick at Leaving Certificate level, at 5th year level. So again, it's an additional guide, but again, it doesn't substitute for the conversations and the discussions and the information that you're receiving tonight also. So just to go back to the wheel, just to finish up, just to remind you really of the sequence of events that should be happening. We're in sequence number 2 and just about to wrap up on that, which is attend the information evening. Just to remind students and parents to talk to others, to access information, to engage with us in the school here. We're always happy to have engagement, to use our website, the Student Hub section of the website, to look at that, to take your time to talk about this. But bear in mind, there are deadlines for transition year and Leaving Certificate applied next week, where the written application forms must be submitted. And then the week after St. Patrick's weekend, students entering 5th year, the deadline is Tuesday to have subjects selected for that. And that's an online process for 5th year. So thank you for joining us this evening. We will, as I said, share some information. Again, I keep saying the Student Hub section, but it really is worth going there, because that's where we'll anchor. That's where we will anchor everything to access for our students and parents. And I will circulate on the email address that you provided when you registered, just some information and video clips and so on from tonight. Just if you'd like to play us back, you can do so at your leisure. So thank you for joining us tonight. Finally, just to remind you that tomorrow night our school musical is on at Glore. There are still a small number of tickets left. So if you'd like to snap them up this evening, if you pop on to glore.ie once you finish on this meeting, we'd love to see you there tomorrow night. It promises to be a great night, and I really am looking forward to an excellent night working with our students. I'm very, very proud always to showcase our students in the school. They're absolutely incredible. And it is my pleasure to work with your sons and daughters each day. Can I thank on your behalf and on my behalf, Miss McNamara, who presented on transition year and the Leaving Certificate applied. Also to Miss Murray and Miss Meehan, who presented on the established Leaving Cert and 5th year subject options. And thank you to all our students and to all our parents who joined us this evening. I wish you a very pleasant evening. I look forward to seeing those that I see in Glore tomorrow night and sharing a lovely evening with you tomorrow. And again, just again to remind everybody, this is an important process. We will be engaging with your sons and daughters in school in the next couple of days, but it is important that that everybody takes their time, meet the deadlines, but there's no immediate rush. So think about it, and really, realistically, I wouldn't expect to see any application forms for TY, for LCA, or for 5th year before this weekend. Really do take the weekend at home to talk about this and to consider it, and to set a bit of time aside to sit down and have a discussion about it. Get your application in form for TY and for LCA by next Wednesday. And then if it's 5th year established Leaving Cert, then the deadline, as I said, is the Tuesday just following the bank holiday weekend, the St. Patrick's bank holiday weekend. So again, Mila Bucas Galer, thank you very much. I wish you all a lovely evening, and thank you for joining us, Erlina, online tonight. So Iwa Galer, thank you very much. Good night, everybody.